Okay, uh, this is another video, one of many, and I will continuously make videos because I think that's as it's my duty to continuously testify and make testimonies about what's happening to me. And it's been a disturbing manipulations I've been experiencing. So let me just start from the beginning. Let me introduce myself, if in case this is the first time you see my video. I'm a target individual. I started being a target individual after working for an employer of mine. I think that it started around 2014, but things became very overt in 2019, actually a little before that. And in the summer of 2019, it went to another level, and that's when the V2K started. Since then, it's been a lot of disturbing thing happening to me. As you know, if you're familiar with target individuals at this point, testimonials, you know that we are part of this human experimentation, and it's, it's so nasty, it's so disturbing. Where it's not really, I mean, this, human experimentation is what's been called, but I think it's more of like human use for technology development, as in they are just improving on something that's been worked on for a long time. And this technology is a defense weaponry. It's a weaponry of some sort. It's not used on target individual in a positive way. It's meant to break down, and also, of course, they do things that we're basically training fields for this program where they do whatever they want and manipulate us in every ways, in disturbing ways, and they and when I mean they, this is obviously a governmental entity, intelligence community related, defense department, defense related entities that have contracted a lot of people around you. This obviously funds, is the resources of this program are just unbelievable, in the sense that it almost seems like there's no limit to how much they can how much they spend on these torments that we experience target visual. And so I can only assume that this is a research and development type of program that is just continuously utilizing human beings for the purpose of improving a technology that's really already very sophisticated, but the more samples, the better it gets. And this technology is a technology that is just almost unbelievable to even understand the level of of capabilities. If I was not a target individual, I don't think I could believe what's happening. And what happens is we are forced to be thinking in these disturbing ways. This technology can manipulate your thoughts, your mind, your body, your organs. So much is manipulated, and to have this technology that can manipulate a human being in this fashion is crazy to believe that it exists, but it does. I get the synthetic telepathy in the V2K. V2K is basically when you can hear people able to project their voices directly to your brain. It's crazy, but it's crazy to imagine that as being true. But this is actually a technology that's been on. I didn't know it was that old, but you hear people actually talking about it in the 90s and even earlier. And to find out that this technology is something that is out there, it's crazy. And so not only they have this ability to project somebody's voice into your brain, but they also have the ability to manipulate thoughts. This is a technology that they've been working on to improve, but it's been able to manipulate one's brain. I think there's a few steps needed before to get to that point, but once they get to that point, they can do whatever they want and however they want you to think. They can make you think in these ways. It's so disgusting, and with time it gets more and more refined, meaning that initially you kind of feel like those thoughts are forced onto you, but then it blends into your own thoughts, and the way you think is, as you know, this is a weapon. It's not meant to make you think in a clear way. It's meant to poison your thoughts, to manipulate your thoughts, and they are just disgusting, disturbing manipulations. But that's what they do. And then not only your thoughts, your memories, your sense of rationality, the sense of perceptions, a lot of manipulation, and it's just disturbing and it's just nonsensical. And you're surrounded by contracted people, which I've made a lot of videos, but if this is your first video, a whole ecosystem is around you to try to get you to accept and subscribe to these false thoughts, right? Their job is to try to make you identify with these falsified thoughts, and they do things by making noise campaign every time those false thoughts, these false memories, this false reality are implanted in your brain to get you to be intimidated into accepting this false reality. And so an example would be, they make you have these disturbing thoughts, and somebody will go and make a loud noise, throw the trash, bam, do. And I live in a building where, I'm not too far from the trash can thing, and so you can hear them banging on this, and then it's just like they do this loud noise every time this happens because they want you to identify with these thoughts, right? And they try to intimidate you into accepting. The other tactics is like you hear bikes, and every time, like loud bikes, when they have these disturbing thoughts, they do all kind of things to try to get you to identify. It's as if, let's just say I put something in your pocket that I put in, and then you see that thing, and I'm like, oh, like it's what is this? It's that kind of, when you're like, no, it's not me, but because the pressure, you start questioning, is that mine? That's what they try to do. Obviously, it's obvious what they do. It's quite like, that's what they do. But initially, it's hard to believe because it's everybody around you, right? They surround you. They create an ecosystem, an environment where everything around you is meant to break you down into accepting these perceptions, these thoughts, these memories, like all of that, or try to make you feel guilty for the things they manipulate you to experience. It's nasty, but that's what they do. This is one aspect of it, but to me, that's the worst. The psychological torture is the most disturbing, and for me, and for a lot of other target individuals, they've been utilizing these tactics, very systematic tactics of using pedophilia type of ways of thinking. It's so disturbing, and it's so disgusting, but it's actually something they do systematically. When I mean systematically, I mean there's like a majority of target individuals who are experiencing this V2K have this level of torment, of pedophilia centric. So that adds to the more disturbingness, that not only they do this pedophilia type of things to you, but they do it to other people. So that is disgusting. And then you hear these bottom feeders try to I call them bottom feeder, because they are just contracted to go through this protocol ways of breaking you down. This is something systematically done. They have something called a script, and they repeat things over and over and over, try to counter what you say by saying something they've said many times. To find out that this is also a torture method that was utilized by the CIA, kind of indicate that these people were the architecture, these entities were the architecture of this program, right? And there's also a lot of facade, a lot of psyops, meaning that they try to present themselves in certain ways to make you identify to things, right? It's like, look at us, if we look like this, you should accept it. And it gets worse and worse and worse with time, because your thoughts are more and more like infiltrated. Somehow with time they can go even deeper and make you And it's like with time you just forget yourself too. And they have manipulated my memory to the level where like my memories are going to completely fade away. My thoughts are completely manipulated in just disturbing ways, and it's nasty. It's so nasty. uh, and you have to just deal with the most disturbing thoughts. um, and you got to be strong. And for me, there's been a psyop of like this femme fatale, like I shouldn't even be saying femme fatale. It's a psyop of like they try to use like gender specific initially. Now it's obviously even before, but they were the biggest facade was try to use that, where they try to make themselves be like this like liberal, progressive, feminist like individual, and try to get you to feel like they're avenging, they're protecting the community, they're mothers that try to protect their family. Some of them like I have children, right? They will say things like that. I was like, for my kids, for my daughters, for my children. And they're in a program that literally rewire your brain to start thinking about kids in these disturbing ways. That is their job. The reason why they use these tactics is because it's a tactic that can break somebody down to push them to suicide because of the disturbing ways you're forced to think. It's so nasty. Disturbing ways of just thinking. And it's just nasty. And they've been doing this. It's so nasty. I'm sorry. Um, they've been doing this since August 19th, 2019 for me. Every time I look at a child, they will get me to have some perceptions or stimulations or sensations that are so disturbing and sexually, say, like pedophilia related, like just nasty, just forcing you to get stimulations and manipulate your memories, manipulate your perceptions. It's just so nasty. And then have that like, and because they control your thoughts, once they make you experience something, they can even have like these dialogues in your brain to try to create a battle in your own mind, or try to counter logic by making you have thoughts that just nonsensical, or mess with your perception. Like you would see something, it would take you a while to process, and your process mind is just like slower and slower. Just you process, you have to like take your time to really like process what you're saying, or process what you're listening, or like it's just like, because they can manipulate your thoughts, your mind, and everything is there. And so it's been disgusting, but I have to deal with that. They do all kind of things like for example, um, you know, let me just say, there was this ad for like back to school like shoe thing, right? I scroll down, and I see this, and I'm like, my brain's like, she looks like a teenage kid, right? And you can see back to school everything, but I'm like, and then in my mind they're trying to like create the thoughts like, no, maybe she's like a college student. It was like, it was just like literally try to battle this, because they want me to like think this way, and then be like, oh, you see, this thought naturally, you see, and I'm like, what? And they do these things over and over. It always goes this way. It's always like some kind of mental manipulations and perceptions to try to break you down and make you subscribe to this persona they've created. It's nasty, and that's the things they do. And then they go through their scripts. They're like, no, it's not real, not true, no, like it's some of the gaslighting method, as sophisticated as it is. This technology and this program are just very like basic gaslighting. Oh, no, it's not true, it's you. So okay. And you gotta understand that's it gets to that level of low too, right? Extremely sophisticated, extremely manipulative, extremely resourced, but you have people who are supposed to agitate you by gaslighting you in these childlike ways, and that's the things you deal with, right? Try to discredit you or make you feel be doubtful, but you see who's talking. And there's a reason why a lot of these people are not, like, I don't get to see a lot of my target, a lot of my perps. I've seen a few. It does help, because when you see them and they try to discredit you, And you look at them, it's like, you cannot, I know what you guys are doing. You're playing with my brain, you manipulate my brain, and then you use this childlike ways of kind of gaslight me into accepting. It's like, nah, it's not true. It's so you. It's like, yeah, okay. Right? Imagine somebody who try to talk to you like this, and you're like, okay, I know me. I know that you're not going to make me subscribe to the things you do to me, but I will experience things the way I'm forced to experience things. That's how it goes. You have to accept that. And you, my my videos really, my testimonials have been a help for me, because the first video I've made was in the summer of 2020, and 2023, summer 2023 stories are my testimonials are the same. It's typical, same. I'm saying the exact same thing I was saying in 2020, but for example, this moment just happened yesterday, right? Where I scrolled down, there was this ad, and this kid, and there was like this teenager that they're trying to create a battle in my mind, where it's like, oh, maybe she's like a college student. It's like, no, she's like a teenage kid. And they were truly in the back of my head, or like they really try to have these dialogues. And, finally it was like, just like, no, this is a kid. And there was like a big thing saying back to school thing, and they were trying to like create these battles, even if the thing was just there, the title saying back to school, the title of this ad. And it was just like, and it took me a while to even see that title, and they can even make you not see things in front of you. Like, it's just crazy. And then they try to counter that. But I've said these kind of things before, where they manipulate your perception, then they try to create these ways of logic and rationality in 2020, right? In different fashion, I've said the same thing, and it's nasty. And then you have to deal with that, and again, it's going to happen again. It is consistently happening, systematically happening. So it shows like the pattern of what they do, right? 3 years ago, making the same videos, now talking about it, you see the pattern in the system they use. But with time, your brain is becoming more and more, like they implant their ways of thinking, like not their way, but you become more like, it's hard to like distinguish their thoughts versus yours, right? It's more blended, right? And that's with time. And now at this point, the only time I know is them is when they go through this kind of things. Like, okay, yeah, they're doing this back and forth, so they can be like, oh, you see, we prove, you see, we, and then they go through the scripts. And with me, on top of that, V2K is the ability to, via V2K, they have the ability to project their voices onto your brain. They go through the repetition, and they also use this tonality, right? They try to sound menacing, mystical. You see who it is, you'll be shocked. They like to speak like, no, it's you, it's lie, no, you're lying. And like, or they use just childlike individuals, like, oh, it's you. And they play with different ways to try to interact with you via V2K, to try to break you down. It's just disgusting. And then they try to vilify you in every way possible. With me, sometimes what they do, first of all, they talk about me as a child. When they do the pedophilia type of torture, it's like, no, it's how you would think when you were a child, and bring up something stupid I did to myself as a child, right? Now, kids are capable of doing stupid things. Looking back at it now, I'm like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? But I understand it's what a child did, which this child was me, but as a child. And I did something to myself, but they tried to change it into something else. And you also have to realize that these people who are vilifying you, or who are trying to make you acceptive of these manipulations, not only do this pedophilia type of tormenting, this psychological torture, but they actually torture even children, right? They torture them in disturbing ways. I'm talking about sexual ways and other horrible ways. And they try to then like get around that, right? Try to change the reality that they do this. And once you know this information, it even frustrates you even more, because you know these people talking to you are doing horrible things to women and children. And the psyop is supposed to be like, no, you see, look at us, we wouldn't do that to children and women. We're women, right? We couldn't do. And then you hear testimonies of women literally calling that out. It's like, these people are doing this thing to me and my child. They present themselves as these kind of people. There's a lot of women involved. Like, you understand, They were trying to present the psyop in order to counter the fact that as they try to vilify you, manipulate you, exaggerate reality, exaggerate what they, whatever you've done, they were all along involved, participating in a program that is out here doing so much horrible things to women and children, including sexual torture. And I'm talking about children too. So once you have this information, their job right now is try to block out that. They try to counter that. They find ways to circle around the reality that they are cruel to women and children, and try to play this facade. I hear some people saying, like I said, I have children, right? They have children, but they're in a program that torture children. Participating in programs that do horrible things to children. Participating in programs that torture a lot of women, sexually included. Torture them sexually. You hear a lot of sexual torture. You hear about the way they manipulate people to think about children in these ways, and you have children. You understand? So it's disgusting, because instead of making them look something like they're protectors, it looks like they're trash even more. Because you having a child, you having children, you would be in a program where they rewire the brain in these ways. They truly manipulate you to think this way. That's their job. They try to come up with these different ways to say what they do, but that's what they do. They manipulate your brain in these disturbing ways. Is one of the tactics they use to break people down. They call it in different ways. It means like, oh, we mapped it, we matched it. No, they manipulate you to experience this way. They stimulate you this way. They do these things this ways, in the ways to aim it toward children. Now, what I said right now is not something me alone have said. There's a pattern of these tactics have been used on others, and they try to find ways to escape from that. For me, they're like, no, we mapped it to you when you were a child. This is how you know. It's like, no, you are manipulating me to experience this like that. I'm not a child. And you're even implanting memories that are falsified, right? Implanting false memories. This is things that others have talked about. The thing with them, they're very consistent. So what you experience will be testified by others experiencing the same things, showing the patterns of the tactics they use. It's disturbing. Then they go through their scripts, and then the pattern, the tactics they've used that's shown the pattern of using the same tactic, scripts, repetitions, same things. And it's nasty. And you have to deal with this. You have to deal with the psyops. You have to deal with the manipulation, the psychological torture, the physical torture. They're doing things to my body, my bones, my knees, my hips, my shoulders, my neck, my stomachs. My elbows, my feet, all just being even my brain structure. I talked about my brain, my skull. I don't know if it's my brain just just getting bigger or something, doing something to my brain, but it's messing with my skull. And my skull is changing. I'm seeing big, huge, like, my skull just kind of puffing up. And even in the back of my head, I feel like weird, like bumps in my head. Like, it's just like my skull is changing. So, doing to you things to your bones, organs, oh my gosh. Digesting organs, I don't know what they're doing there. It's just I'm not digesting properly. I'm not eating properly. I know every time I eat, something just feels wrong. When I use the restroom, it feels my colon is not working properly, or my like when I use the bathroom, something there is just, it feels like they've been like moving around things. So using the bathroom is not the same thing. It's not the same way. It's kind of moving. I gotta be careful what I eat. I limit myself what I eat because I've had issue using the restroom. Something was so bad. But that's the things to do. And all I'm saying, everything I'm saying is something that others have experienced. It's disturbing, but that's what they do. And the purpose of that is truly for the improvement of this technology. But they try to create a different reality where they're somehow at war, which obviously you hear what I said, this is not a war, we're just human subjects in this program where they're developing this technology, and they're trying to vilify you to also, I think, make it easy for themselves to cope with what they're part of. But you gotta understand, as a target individual, they're vilifying women with children. I mean, the people that you, it's just disturbing to even try to vilify. So for me, I'm like, I look at, like, if you can vilify this poor woman, of course you can vilify anybody. And how can you even like vilify a child? Like, what you tell yourself? So you got to be strong, and understand that the people around you are the trash, right? And the irony of it all is like how they project not only those voices but even reality. They like to call target individuals nothing. For example, me, they're like, you're nothing, right? Because they do these terrible things to you and then try to make you think that you're the nothing. Um, but you see what they do. You even see how they present themselves. You see them where in the midst of doing their things, when they do that to you, when you see them in the participating mode, and you're like, I, I think you should look at yourself when you do these things, because you are truly the nothing. And when they call me nothing, it's like coming from you, I'm okay to be a nothing, because I don't see them as people as anything. So when people who are doing the nasty things like that try to degrade you, dehumanize you, emasculate you, you're like, who are you? Like, you're the trash that tortured children and women. And on top of that, when they do the peripheral type of torture, it's still disgusting. But to the fact that they torture children is even worse. And you heard me just say something I didn't mean to say. This is why they call for speech. They've done it a lot of times when I try to speak. Make me say something completely not what I was trying to say, or to change the meaning of something. But what they've done also is trying to make me accept a lot of these disturbing thoughts as me. But on top of the fact that they do these peripheral things and they make you and do everything possible to get you to accept this, these entities, like I said, they work for those entities in the Department of Defense, right? Those, we know the architectures of this are most likely CIA related. Obviously funded by the DoD, obviously technology that's DARPA related. And so those entities have had issues with pedophilia. An article came out not too long ago in 2020, December 2020, calling out the fact that there's a problem with pedophilia in these agencies. And so that should be a depiction of these kind of people, right? And then they do their best to just try to get you to accept these things. And you're like, not only you do this peripheral type of torture, not only you torture and do horrible things to children, including sexual torture, but these entities that are in charge of these things are filled with pedophiles. And they're like, no, but remember what you did as a kid. You wished what I did is what you were saying. But the reality is you actually torture children. They do horrible things to kids. They abuse children using this technology. They burn them, suffocate them, sexually tortured, and this have been testified by others. So while they try to talk about you as a kid doing something stupid to yourself as a child, they're in a program that is suffocating, sexually torturing, burning kids, zapping kids, mentally tortured. It's just disgusting. And I'm talking about kids as young as 3 weeks old. They radiate them and all of that, all these nasty things. And every time when I say that, they try to counter with the scripts. It's a way to disorient you. As I say that, they try to play with me to counter that too. It's all kind of ways of battle reality. I think that's what they call war, but it's just implementing things they need to implement on human subjects. And so you have to be strong. And they try then to disorient themselves, distance themselves, saying, no, we're different. We did that. It's like, yes, they do this, people. Target individual. The perps doing this to you are in a program that does that. Most of them, a lot of them have this. You're not there first. There's obviously people with more expertise, right? They don't just get brand new people. Yes, they're new people, but there's a lot of people who have experience, and they have experience torturing women and children too. That's nasty, but that's what they do, and they try to counter that. So you have to be strong. You have to be strong. and just understand that regardless of what they say, for example, right now, to interrupt me, disorient me, because I said that they torture women and children, and there's a lot of people, there's perps right now who have experienced doing this more than others, torturing women and children. I hear some childlike individual to try to agitate me because I said that they torture women and children, even sexually. uh, she said something about me getting raped because they're gonna frame me, and then once I'm gonna be framed, I'm gonna be in jail. Once in jail, I'm gonna be raped, tortured, and everything else. And she says that at this moment because I said that these people doing this to me are involved in also torturing women and children. So they do a lot of countering to block our reality. And even though it's most likely true that they're gonna frame me because these people are torturing women and children, so framing you is nothing. Torturing you is nothing. The reason why she's saying that now is because she wants to stop me from saying that. So to all my target individual, stay strong and know that justice will be done for the nasty things these people do to people, including torturing women and children.